I'm Wanda Brown. I'm 82 years old. I have over $200,000 sitting in trust funds for my 6 grandchildren, and not a single one of them knows my favorite book or how to make my pecan pie. Let me tell you what happened. I just got back from my granddaughter Chloe's wedding. Something she said during her speech. It changed everything. You see, I regret spending the last 20 years obsessively saving and investing every spare penny for their futures. I thought a fat inheritance was the ultimate legacy, and it cost me everything. I missed the chance to be a real present grandmother. I was always working, worrying about money, or too tired from the hustle to connect. I understand now that your time, your attention, your shared experience is the only inheritance they will truly cherish and remember you by. Money is forgotten, moments are not. Let me explain. It started 20 years ago, right after I retired. I was an electrician in Bayside, Flint, for 40 years. Timothy, my husband, and I were sitting at our kitchen table. We were looking at baby pictures of our first grandchild, Leo, and we felt this sudden, sharp fear. College costs were skyrocketing. The world felt so unstable. We decided then and there we would build a financial fortress for them. No grandchild of ours would struggle. It felt like the most responsible, loving thing we could do. That decision became our mission. We funneled every spare penny, my pension, our savings, even some of the money I made from baking pies for the church fair, into investments and trusts. We were so focused on the future, we didn't see what was happening in the present. The first time I felt a twinge was with my grandson, Sam. He was about 10, all elbows and excitement. He burst into my den with a blueprint he'd drawn in crayon. "Grandma, you're an electrician. Help me build a tree house. We need lights." I was in the middle of reviewing a complicated stock portfolio statement. I just patted his head and said, "Not today, sweetie. Grandma's making sure you can go to a good college someday." The look on his face, a little light went out. I felt a pang of regret, but I buried it. I told myself, this is love, this is sacrifice. That became my mantra. Then came my granddaughter Maya's 16th birthday. For years, I'd promised her a hiking trip to the Upper Peninsula, just the two of us. She loved the outdoors like I did. When the day came, I handed her an envelope. "Put it toward your car," I said. It was a generous check. She thanked me politely, but the excitement was for a down payment, not for an adventure with her grandma. I felt a hollow ache that night, a real emptiness, but I silenced it. "Future security," I whispered to myself. "That's what matters." That pattern just repeated itself. Birthday checks instead of baking days. Apologies for being too tired from managing finances to go for a walk. I was trading my presents for their potential. And then this past weekend, I finally saw the bill. Chloe's wedding was beautiful. She was glowing. Timothy held my hand, his dress, blues, neatly pressed. I felt so proud, looking at our family all together. I thought about the trust fund we'd seeded for her, feeling that familiar sense of accomplishment. Then she stood up to give her speech. She thanked her parents, her friends, her new husband. My heart was full. Then she turned her gaze to us. She smiled right at Timothy and me. And what she said next hit me like a physical blow. "And I want to thank my grandparents," Chloe said, her voice clear and warm, "who taught me the value of hard work and planning for the future." She raised her glass, everyone clinked theirs, and that was it. That was our entire legacy to her. Not my love of hiking, not Timothy's terrible jokes, not a single shared secret or memory, just a lesson in deferred gratification, a financial principle. I was devastated. The applause felt like it was happening in another room. I sat there smiling stiffly while those words echoed in my head. As the reception buzzed around me, I started scanning the room. There was Leo, my first grandchild, now an engineer, laughing with cousins I barely recognized. There was Sam, the treehouse boy, now a father himself, bouncing a baby on his knee. Maya was debating trail maps with someone. They were happy, vibrant people, and I realized with a sickening clarity I didn't know them. I knew their resumes. I knew their milestones we'd contributed to financially, but I didn't know their dreams. I didn't know their daily worries. I didn't know their inside jokes. I felt completely isolated. The distance between us felt vast, and I had engineered every inch of it. The drive back to Bayside with Timothy was quiet. The Michigan night was dark. Finally I said, "Did you hear what she said?" He sighed, a deep, tired sound. "I heard it, Wanda." He didn't say anything else. He didn't have to. I could see the same regret in the set of his shoulders. We'd been a team in this, partners in a plan that had somehow walled us off from the very people we loved most. That night I couldn't sleep. I wasn't thinking about stock tickers or interest rates. I was thinking about a treehouse that never got built and a hiking trail we never walked. This morning, with the dawn light coming through my kitchen window, the same window where we'd made our fateful pact, it all crystallized. I'm an electrician. For 40 years, my job was to make connections, to ensure the current could flow. And in my own family, I'd spent 20 years installing the perfect breaker box for their future. But I'd never bothered to flip the switch to let the light shine. Now, I'd been absent, thinking my money was present enough. So I understand something now with a painful, perfect clarity. And if you're doing what I did, I need you to hear it. I was saving for an abstract concept, their future, while letting the concrete reality of their childhood and our time together slip through my fingers like sand. You have to be present to make a connection. I should have known that. I'm an electrician. Money in a trust fund is inert. It doesn't laugh. It doesn't tell stories. It doesn't remember your birthday. It's just a number on a page they'll get one day, long after they've forgotten the sound of your voice. So here is my advice, born from 2 decades of getting it backwards. Stop. Just stop. Take that money you're squirreling away for a day you might not see and use it now. Not for a bigger check, but for a shared experience. I'm not saying be reckless. I'm saying be present. Take them on that trip. Buy the silly, expensive baking ingredients and make a glorious mess. Sit and listen, really listen to their teenage dramas or work problems. Teach them something with your hands. Tell them the stories of your life, the good and the hard. That connection, that shared joy or comfort is the only thing that gets wired into their hearts for good. It's the inheritance they'll actually remember and cherish. You see, I had another moment a few years back that should have been my wake-up call, but I was too stubborn to hear it. My grandson, Leo, the first one, graduated with his engineering degree. We threw a big party for him here in Bayside. I was so proud. Timothy and I gave him a graduation card with a note about his trust fund maturing. He gave me a hug and said, "Thanks, Grandma, for everything." Later, I found him out on the back porch, looking at the old tool shed. I walked out and stood beside him. He said, "You know, when I was little, I used to think you had the most magical job in the world. You'd come over, and your toolbox smelled like ozone and old leather. You'd let me hold your voltage tester, and you'd show me how the doorbell worked." He smiled, but it was a sad smile. I think that's why I became an engineer, because of you. My throat got tight. "I didn't know that, Leo." He shrugged. "Yeah, well, you were always pretty busy." You were always pretty busy. That was the epitaph I'd been writing for myself with every missed opportunity. He'd gotten the inspiration from glimpses from the scent of my toolbox, not from any real time I'd spent with him. I'd handed him the spark, but I'd never stayed to help him fan it into a flame. I'd been too busy funding the future engineer to mentor the curious little boy right in front of me. And that's the heart of it, isn't it? We think we're building something for them, but we're really just building a wall made of stock reports and bank statements, and we're on one side and they're on the other. We wave through the little window now and then, but we never actually go through the door. It's not too late. For me or for you, it's not about the amount of money, it's about the intention behind it. A single afternoon of your full, undivided attention is worth more than any stock dividend. I know that now. I wish I'd known it when Sam's treehouse blueprint was still in crayon, when Maya's hiking boots were still new. But knowing it now means I have to do something different. I can't get those 20 years back. The treehouse moment is gone. The promised hike is a ghost. But tomorrow I'm calling Sam. I'm going to ask about his baby. What's her favorite song? Does she have his smile? And then I'm going to ask if he'd like to build a birdhouse with his old grandma. Nothing fancy, just something to put in his yard. I'm calling Maya to finally plan that hike, even if it's just a local trail here in Michigan. My knees aren't what they used to be, but we can walk, we can talk. I'm going to take Chloe out to lunch, just the two of us, and I'm not going to mention her trust fund once. I'm going to ask her about her new marriage, about her hopes, about what makes her laugh until she cries. I'm going to listen. Don't save for your grandkids. They won't remember you for the money. They'll remember the smell of your pie baking, the sound of your laugh, the way your hands showed them how to hold a hammer or identify a bird. They'll remember that you were there. Build with them, hike with them, bake with them, be present. That's the only legacy that doesn't fade. That's the current that flows forever. So, what will you do with your tomorrow? Will you look at a bank statement or will you make a phone call? The connection is waiting to be made. You just have to be there to flip the switch. So what will you do with your tomorrow? Will you look at a bank statement or will you make a phone call? The connection is waiting to be made. You just have to be there to flip the switch. I didn't make the call that next morning. I sat at the same kitchen table, the one where it all began, and I just stared at the phone. I felt paralyzed. What if I called Sam and he was too busy? What if I asked Maya about that hike and she just humored me? The fear was different now, not fear for their financial future, but fear that I'd burned the bridge to it being too late for anything else. Timothy came in, poured his coffee. He saw me sitting there. He didn't say anything. He just put a hand on my shoulder and squeezed. That simple touch, it undid me. I started to cry. Not pretty tears, but the kind that come from a place so deep and rusty you forgot it was there. Great, heaving sobs that shook my whole body. I cried for the treehouse. I cried for the hiking trail. I cried for all the bedtime stories I never read because I was too tired from a double shift, telling myself the overtime was for them. Timothy pulled a chair close and held my hand. He let me cry it out. When I could finally breathe again, I looked at him. His eyes were wet too. "We were wrong, Tim," I whispered. "We were so wrong." "I know," he said, his voice rough. "I've known for a while. Why didn't you say something?" He looked down at our joined hands, at his wedding band that had gotten thin with time. "Because you were so sure, and it felt noble." How do you argue against something that feels so noble? Sacrificing for the grandkids. It sounded right. It felt like love. That was the poison in it. It felt like love. It dressed itself up in responsibility and foresight. But real love is present. Real love shows up. Real love gets its hands dirty with crayon blueprints and trail mud. I thought about another moment, one I hadn't let myself remember until right then. It was about 5 years ago. My granddaughter, Ella, the youngest, was maybe 12. She'd come over after school. I was at the table, like always, with my calculator and statements. She was quiet, watching me. Then she said, "Grandma, what was your favorite thing to fix?" I barely looked up. "Oh, honey, lots of things." "Now hush, I'm trying to concentrate." She got up and went into the living room. A little while later, I went in to check on her. She was sitting on the floor with my old dusty toolbox, the one I hadn't opened in years. She had my voltage tester in her hand, clicking the button, making the red light flash on and off in the dim room. She wasn't playing, she was just holding it, looking at it like it was a relic from a lost civilization. I should have sat down with her. I should have shown her how it worked. I should have told her about the time I wired the new wing of the hospital, or how I fixed old Mrs. Henderson's furnace in the dead of winter. But I didn't. I said, "Put that back, sweetie. You might break it." And I went back to my numbers. I broke it. I broke the moment. I broke the connection she was trying to make. I told her, without saying the words, that the tool of my trade, the thing that represented my skill, my story, was more important as a closed relic than as an open invitation. That memory hit me harder than Chloe's speech, because Chloe's speech was about what I'd given. Ella with my voltage tester was about what I'd refused. I'd refused her Miki. That's when I realized the full cost. It wasn't just that they didn't know my favorite book. It was that I had been a ghost in my own life, a benevolent ghost, maybe. One that left checks under birthday cards, but a ghost all the same. I had traded my substance for their security. I'd given them a future made of paper, while withholding a present made of flesh and blood and stories. I looked at Timothy. "They don't know us," I said. It wasn't a question. He shook his head. "No, they know what we provided, not who we are." And who were we? I was the woman who could walk into a dark basement, trace a faulty wire by instinct, and bring the light back on. I was the woman who won the county fair blue ribbon for pecan pie 3 years running. I was the woman who read every Louis L'Amour Western ever written. Timothy was the man who could fix any engine, who knew the name of every bird in Michigan, who still wrote me notes and left them on the coffee pot. Our grandchildren knew none of that. They knew we were careful. They knew we were planners. They knew we sent money. It broke me, that realization. It just broke me clean in two. I had spent 40 years connecting wires so people could have light and warmth. And I had spent 20 years disconnecting myself from the only people whose light and warmth I truly needed. I sat there in the quiet kitchen, the morning sun now bright on the table, and I felt the full, stupid, devastating weight of it. I had been so afraid of them struggling someday that I made us strangers today. I had protected their tomorrows by robbing all of us of our todays. And the cruelest part, the money was still just money. It hadn't grown love. It hadn't grown memories. It had just grown, while everything that actually mattered had shriveled up from neglect. Timothy wiped his eyes. "So," he said, "what do we do now?" I looked at the phone. I looked at my hands, these old, capable hands that could splice a wire but hadn't held a grandchild's hand in years just for the sake of holding it. The emotional freefall was ending. I was hitting bottom. And you know what they say about hitting bottom? It's solid. You can stand up from it. I took a deep, shaky breath. The tears were done. There was just a clear, cold certainty left. "We do it differently," I said, "starting right now." "We do it differently," I said, "starting right now." And I did. I picked up that phone. My hand was shaking, but I dialed Sam's number. When he answered, his voice was surprised. "Grandma, everything okay?" "Everything's fine, honey," I said, my voice thick. I was just calling to ask about the baby. What's her name again?" I knew her name was Lily. I'd seen it on a Christmas card, but I wanted to hear him say it. "Lily," he said, and I could hear the smile. "She's great. She's got my nose, poor thing." We talked for 20 minutes, not about money, not about the future, about sleepless nights and first smiles and the ridiculous cost of diapers. I laughed until I cried. Then I took a breath. "Sam, I was thinking, I know I'm a little late, but I still have my tools. If you've got a spot in your yard, I'd love to help you and Lily build a birdhouse. Something simple. I could show you a few things." The silence on the other end lasted just a beat too long. I braced myself. Then he said softly, "Yeah, Grandma, I'd like that. Lily would too." That call was the first real connection I'd made in 20 years. It was like testing a long dormant circuit and finding it still live. Here's what I learned, sitting there with the phone warm in my hand. I learned that love isn't a trust fund. It's not a number that compounds in silence. Love is a current. It only flows if you're there to complete the circuit. For 40 years as an electrician in Flint, that was my job, to ensure the connection was solid, that the path was clear. I failed at that job in my own home. I installed the wiring, but I never threw the main switch. I was so afraid of them being in the dark someday that I let us live in the dark now. I thought the money was the light, but money is just fuel. It's inert. It doesn't glow on its own. The light comes from the connection, from the shared experience, from the stories told in its glow. I'd stockpiled a mountain of fuel and wondered why we were all still shivering. Look at my moments, Sam's treehouse. That wasn't about a structure. It was about a shared project, about him seeing his grandma as someone who could create, not just someone who could calculate. Maya's hike. That wasn't about miles. It was about uninterrupted time, about passing on my love for the Michigan woods, about the conversations that only happen when you're walking side by side. Ella with my voltage tester. She wasn't looking for a toy. She was looking for a key to who I was. And I told her to put it back. I locked the door. My legacy wasn't supposed to be a lesson in deferred gratification. My legacy was supposed to be the gratifying moments themselves, the taste of my pecan pie, the plot of my favorite Louis L'Amour novel, the way to identify a chickadee's call, the feel of a hammer that's balanced just right in your hand. I was a keeper of so many small, wonderful things, and I dyed them all in a vault, thinking cash was the only currency that mattered. So here is my direct advice to you if you're doing what I did. Stop saving for a ghost. Start spending on the living. I don't mean be foolish, I mean be intentional. Take that $100 you were going to put into a college fund this month and use it to take your grandchild to a baseball game. Buy the expensive art supplies and paint with them, even if it's just messy blobs. Get in the car and drive to a lake. Skip stones. Tell them about your first kiss. Ask them about their biggest fear. Listen to their music with them, even if it hurts your ears. Teach them something only you know. For me, it's how to wire a three-way switch. For you, it might be how to knit a sock, or how to tell a ripe tomato from the vine, or the words to a song your own grandmother sang. That knowledge, passed from your hands to theirs, is a thread that ties them to every generation that came before. A check severs that thread. It says, "Here, go buy your own story." But a shared skill says, "You are part of my story, and I am part of yours." You still have time. I'm 82. My knees ache, and my eyes aren't what they were. But I have now. Timothy and I have now. We're planning a family picnic. Not a fancy, expensive thing, just burgers in the park, and we're not bringing our checkbook. We're bringing my old photo albums, Timothy's birding guide, and a football. We're going to be embarrassingly fully present. This channel, this platform, it's full of stories like mine. People who've lived long enough to see their mistakes in the rearview mirror crystal clear. If what I've said today resonates with you, if you felt that pang of recognition, then do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications. There are more voices here, more hard-won lessons that might save you a world of regret. And leave a comment down below. Tell me, who is it you need to call? What adventure have you been putting off? Your words might give someone else the courage to pick up the phone. If you found a bit of truth in my story, please hit the like button and share it. Share it with your brother, who's always working, with your friend who talks about her grandkids' trust funds more than she talks about their soccer games. They might not want to hear it, but they might need to. Maybe you have a story of your own. A lesson you learned too late or just in time. There's a form in the description below. Tell us about it. Your story could be the one that changes everything for someone else. Your voice matters. And if you're looking for a place to start thinking differently about time and what we leave behind, I found a book that helped me. It's called The Gift of Years by Joan Chittister. It's not about money, it's about meaning. I'll leave a link where you can find it. Don't save for your grandkids. They won't remember you for the money. They'll remember the time you gave them, the attention that was yours alone to give. Build the birdhouse, take the hike, bake the pie, be present. That's the only inheritance that doesn't depreciate, that can't be lost in a market crash. It's the current that flows forever. Now go flip the switch.